Okay, so now you have done your 3 mind maps plus 1 focus mind map, it's time to put together the first slide of RNEA. Now, I said this to you throughout year 10, but you need to make sure that you are putting these sheets together clearly, make sure that they're labelled so that absolutely anybody could understand them, make sure you're not leaving big gaps of white space, and where you can, try and keep content on one page. So if it's a mind map page, try and keep it on one page. If it's a mood board, try and keep it on one page. So what you can see in front of you is the beginnings of the investigation of your context page. This is the mind map page. So you can see at the bottom, I have added 3 rectangles, each with a mind map title in it. These are the areas in which I would recommend that you put your 3 initial mind maps. Now, obviously, you can change it around a little bit if you want to. You don't have to stick to my layout, but this is quite a nice, neat way of doing it if you're unsure. The next step is to add up a typed version of each of the contexts. Now, you won't be able to see them clearly on the mind maps, so it's good to have it typed out and sat just above where your mind map is. What we have up on the left here is your focus mind map. So by this point, you should have picked one of the contexts. So for this one, for instance, I picked Smarter Living. And from that mind map, you should have picked just one of the many ideas you should have on the page. So I chose, from Smarter Living, I chose to look at storage. Storage was quite a nice open brief because what that allowed me to do was create a really in-depth and intricate, more focused mind map. So looking into more kind of detail and more depth about what kinds of storage there are, who has problems with storage, what are the problems that they have with storage, when might it affect them, why might it affect them, where might it affect them. So your focus mind map will go on the left here. Up on the right, you have a small paragraph describing what you have done on this page. So why did you make mind maps? You know, how have they helped you and how will they help you moving forwards? Your next stage is going to be a mood board based off your focus mind map. So it is really important that you have this information in there to direct the examiner. Try and keep this as concise as possible. I don't need to see half a page of writing here. Here you can see some keywords that have been added. You can pull those from the context or you can pull them from your focused mind map. You can use a word cloud generator online if you want to do something like mine, or you can just type the words in and add them as and when you find one. Above here, you can see I've got feedback from a couple of peers, so a couple of your classmates. If you get them to have a look at your mind maps, talk to you about whether you've explored the content properly, have you found lots of good problems, lots of good ideas, just a very short piece of feedback. And on the right in the last gap is a little section. So with this and the feedback, these are the things that you need to have in there if you want the higher level marks. Without this extra stuff, it's unlikely that you will get the higher level marks in the mark band. So you need to consider things like inclusivity, cultural issues, environmental issues. Now at this stage, you won't know exactly how it's going to affect you because you don't know what your product is, but you need to be able to tell me, if I'm looking at storage for children, why do I need to consider inclusivity? Because obviously there are children who are disabled, there are children all over the world that have very differing needs. Environmental issues should be an obvious one for you by now, thinking about the materials, how it's going to recycle, is it meant to last a long time? And obviously cultural issues. We have different things all over the world where different cultures either revere or dislike certain animals or ideas or thoughts or concepts. So obviously we would need to consider that. The last thing is the yellow box in the top left corner, which I have outlined in red. This is your next steps box, and you will hear me bang on about these a lot. You need to fill this in, okay? As and when you've done a page, get this filled in. It takes 2 minutes to fill in at the time, but it will take you hours if you have to do them all later. So within that box, what you need to do is fill in your next step. So what have you learned from doing this page? Why has it been helpful, and what are your next steps going to be? So the next steps is going to be a mood board. So these have helped you focus in on the idea that you want to look at for your mood board. So you can see here, we've just changed a little bit of writing there and talked ourselves through it. This is a very nice, very neat, very clean layout for your mind map page. Now, of course, if you want to lay it out slightly differently, that is entirely up to you. What I do want to see is nice, neat pages. I want to see not lots of white space. If you put coloured boxes behind your text, it can help to fill in space, but I don't want to see kind of white writing and garish, things like that. It needs to remain black writing, and kind of you need to be able to read it clearly over the boxes that you are using. Right, that is everything. Well, we'll be moving on to the mood board next week, so please make sure that you've had a look and picked out one really, really super zoomed in focus idea for you to find pictures on.